Former President Trump's declaration, "We don't need Canada's lumber," was more than just a soundbite. It was a rallying cry for economic nationalism and a promise to put American workers first. The message resonated with many, aiming to protect American jobs by suggesting the U.S. could be self-sufficient in lumber production, keeping the industry and its benefits at home. However, the reality is that the U.S. lumber market is deeply reliant on Canadian imports, a relationship built over decades of cross-border trade and cooperation. In 2024, the U.S. imported over 11.8 billion board feet of Canadian softwood lumber, a staggering volume that highlights the scale of this dependency. This accounts for a significant portion of the total lumber used in the country, fueling everything from home construction to furniture manufacturing. In fact, Canada supplies about 85% of all U.S. softwood lumber imports, making it the single most important foreign source for American builders and developers. This steady flow of Canadian lumber is crucial for meeting the ever-growing construction demands across the United States, especially as housing shortages persist. And the U.S. faces significant challenges, including workforce shortages, aging infrastructure, and sawmill closures, all of which make ramping up domestic production a difficult task. Canadian lumber fills this gap, stabilizing both supply and prices, and helping to prevent wild swings in the market that could hurt consumers and businesses alike. Without this vital import, the U.S. housing market would struggle to keep up with demand, threatening affordability for millions of families. Disrupting this trade risks not only economic instability, but also higher housing costs, making the American dream of homeownership even harder to achieve. The notion of self-sufficiency overlooks the deeply integrated North American market, where supply chains and industries are intertwined. The U.S. and Canada are not just competitors, they are partners in the forestry sector, working together to ensure a stable supply of lumber for both nations. Canadian lumber is vital for affordable housing in the U.S., supporting not just builders, but also families looking for a place to call home. The bold claim of self-sufficiency was about to be tested, as policymakers and industry leaders grappled with the realities of a protectionist policy. The consequences of disrupting this flow, rising prices, supply shortages, and economic uncertainty, would soon become apparent to everyone involved. The reality of the U.S. lumber market is far more complex than a simple statement implies, involving a web of relationships, logistics, and economic forces. The stage was set for a major policy shift, with lawmakers, industry experts, and workers all watching closely to see what would happen next. The coming months would test the premise of protectionism, revealing whether the U.S. could truly go it alone, or if partnership with Canada remained essential for prosperity. In 2025, the Trump administration escalated trade tensions to a new level, sending shockwaves through North American markets and diplomatic circles alike. The world watched as the U.S. government announced a sweeping set of new tariffs, targeting Canadian goods with a force not seen in decades. These aggressive tariffs on Canadian goods were designed to pressure Canada at the negotiating table, but their impact rippled far beyond government offices. A 25% tariff on Canadian and Mexican imports was imposed, compounding existing duties on softwood lumber, a critical material for American construction. The total tariff rate on lumber imports soared, nearing 40%. For importers, this created a daunting financial barrier, making it much harder to bring in affordable materials. The administration justified these tariffs on the grounds of national interest and political leverage, but the move quickly transformed a long-standing trade dispute into a broader, more volatile conflict. This approach injected deep uncertainty into the market, tying the cost of lumber, and by extension, the cost of building homes, to the unpredictable world of international diplomacy and political maneuvering. By autumn 2025, the threat of even higher duties loomed large, with some warning that rates could soon surpass 50%, further squeezing importers and builders. For American families, these tariffs acted as a direct tax, driving up the cost of new homes and making the dream of homeownership even more elusive for many. Builders and developers faced wild price swings, making it nearly impossible to plan future projects or guarantee costs for clients. The construction industry, which depends on stable and predictable costs for large-scale developments, found itself navigating a landscape of uncertainty and risk. For homebuyers, realtors, and builders alike, from Mao and the tariffs became a source of anxiety, threatening the very engine that drives the American housing market. What began as a trade dispute had now become a direct hit on housing affordability, reshaping the lives of countless Americans and casting a long shadow over the future of home construction. The new tariffs led to a sharp and immediate increase in softwood lumber prices, sending shockwaves through the construction industry. Suppliers and builders alike scrambled to adjust to the new reality, as costs began to climb almost overnight. By summer 2025, prices were 17% higher than the previous year, making it one of the steepest annual jumps in recent memory. For many, this surge was not just a statistic. It meant real dollars lost and projects delayed. Tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods didn't just hit lumber. They affected a wide range of building materials, from steel beams to cement, making nearly every aspect of construction more expensive and unpredictable. The U.S. imports 70% of its gypsum from Mexico, a critical component for drywall. With new duties in place, even basic materials for finishing homes became harder to afford, squeezing budgets further. Builders faced cost increases from multiple directions, squeezing profit margins, and forcing tough decisions about which projects to continue or pause. Many small contractors struggled to keep up. Rising costs made it difficult to deliver affordable homes, putting the dream of homeownership out of reach for many families installing community development. Lumber prices fluctuated wildly, complicating business planning and making it nearly impossible to predict expenses from one month to the next. Builders struggled to provide firm quotes, leading to renegotiated contracts and difficult conversations with clients who were unprepared for the sudden price hikes. The tariffs created widespread chaos, undermining economic security for businesses and workers alike, and leaving many projects in limbo. The dream of protecting American industry collided with global supply chain realities, revealing just how interconnected and vulnerable the market had become. In the end, the American consumer was caught in the middle of this volatility, facing higher prices and fewer choices as the ripple effects spread through every corner of the economy. Rising material costs directly increased home prices for American families. Tariffs added an average of $10,900 to new single-family homes. This price hike affected first-time and entry-level buyers the most. The policy made housing less affordable for everyone, including renters. Higher costs forced builders to slow down or cancel projects. The housing shortage worsened as construction activity stalled. Fewer new homes led to more competition and higher prices. The tariffs had a chilling effect on the housing supply. Regular Americans faced financial challenges due to soaring home prices. The path to stable housing became steeper and more difficult. The homebuilding industry protested the tariffs' negative impacts. The National Association of Homebuilders argued tariffs were a tax on home buyers. We urged the government to reconsider and find a long-term solution. Builders shared stories of struggling with soaring material costs. Escalation clauses in contracts created uncertainty for home buyers. Economists warned that protectionist policies harm consumers. The tariffs transferred wealth from consumers to domestic producers. Small and medium-sized builders were hit hardest by cost increases. Many felt betrayed by a policy meant to help American businesses. The chorus of opposition sent a powerful message to Washington. The tariffs were a failed experiment, hurting those they intended to help. The fight against tariffs moved into the legal arena. Democratic attorneys general filed a lawsuit challenging the tariffs' legal basis. The court ruled the administration overstepped its authority. This decision questioned the foundation of the tariff policy. Industry groups pursued all channels to fight the duties. We engaged in administrative reviews and international dispute mechanisms. The goal was to combat a policy causing widespread economic damage. Despite efforts, the political battle remained intense. The administration viewed tariffs as part of its America First agenda. The fight illustrated the struggle between free trade and protectionism. The lumber tariff saga offers important lessons. Protectionist measures often have unintended harmful consequences. The policy disrupted the supply chain balance, raising costs for consumers. A stable trade policy is crucial for long-term planning in the housing industry. Tariffs, as political tools, create uncertainty, chilling construction activity. A negotiated agreement with Canada is needed for market stability. The USMCA review in 2026 is a chance to address the dispute. A new softwood lumber agreement could eliminate tariffs and quotas. The goal is to support housing affordability with steady material supply. Trade policy decisions directly impact housing costs nationwide. Prioritizing policies that help builders provide affordable homes is essential.